A very good morning to one and all present here. Esteemed Chief Guest, Vice Chancellor of Provincial University, Convener of the Conference, Secretary of Odisha Economics Association, Local Organizing Secretary, distinguished speakers of the conference, esteemed past presidents of Odisha Economics Association, life members of Odisha Economics Association, paper presenters of the conference, fellow Revensavians, special invitees, members from electronic and print media, ladies and gentlemen. I deem it a great honor and privilege to deliver the presidential address at the 57th Annual Conference of Odisha Economics Association. I am indeed grateful to esteemed members of the association, its learned past presidents, for reposing confidence in me. I am deeply humbled by this kind gesture and generosity. I have greatly benefited from the annual conferences of the association since my early career days, and this have enriched my knowledge of economics in general and the economy of Odisha in particular. The Indian economy and many of the economies at the sub-national level, including Odisha, are currently experiencing a slowdown in their economic growth. At the same time, Government of India has been taking initiatives to develop India into a prosperous nation, which they term as Viksit Bharat by 2047, the 100th anniversary of India's independence. And this focuses on youth, poor, women and farmers. In a similar vein, at the state level, Government of Odisha has announced its commitment to ensure that the state is regarded as one of the strong, affluent and rapidly developing states when it celebrates its centennial year of statehood in 2036. These initiatives also aim to achieve sustainable development across economic, social, environmental and governance domains at both national and subnational levels. A clear understanding of how economies are doing at the present and how they may respond to existing and potential challenges will determine their progress towards both Viksit Bharat and achievement of Odisha Vision 2036. The two broad themes of 57th Annual Conference of the Odisha Economic Association, that is Sustainable Development Goals in India Agenda for 2030 and Odisha at 2036, have been set in the light of these developments. I have chosen to share with you some of my ideas on the performance of the economy of Odisha and related issues under the caption Growth, Limits and Sustainable Development Goals, a view from Odisha. I acknowledge with a deep sense of gratitude the mentorship provided by Dr. Himanshu Shekhar Raut, Mrs. Pragya Monalisa Sahu, Dr. Amarendra Das and Dr. Lakshmikant for developing this paper. The critics of the paper will deserve a special acknowledgement for contributing to its improvement and final content. As you all know, Odisha is endowed with very rich natural resources, human resources, water resources and all that. And the growth story of Odisha has been very remarkable, and we have moved a great way from a backward state to a middle income state and are on the way to move to a high income state. Diversification in investment, production and employment favoring high value agriculture, industrialization, infrastructural development have been the hallmarks of this process. In 23-24, the GSDP of Odisha has reached almost $100 billion, and this would be larger than that of Tanzania, Sri Lanka or Ghana. The state has been ranked 13th among 17 major states in India in 22-23. The economy is estimated to have grown at 8.5% in 23-24, which is higher than the 8.2% growth rate at the all India level. In the said year, the three sectors of the state economy, agriculture, industry and services, grew at 3.5%, 8.7% and 9.2% respectively. But even with this, the per capita income of Odisha remains 12.5% lower than that of India. And the key drivers of economic growth in Odisha have been industrialization and manufacturing, including mining, infrastructure development, development in agriculture and allied sectors, IT and service sector expansion, and more importantly by policy reforms and investment initiatives. So this has been the core of growth for the state of Odisha. This also reminds us the growth in Odisha is largely driven by the industry sector and more by mining and manufacturing. And this reminds us of the limits to growth theory that has been posited by Meadows and others in 1972 and has moved for different editions. The theory argues that unless growth is curtailed, unchecked exponential growth in population, industrial output, coupled with finite natural resources, will lead to environmental and economic collapse within the 21st century. It predicted various scenarios with the business as usual trajectory leading to overshoot and collapse due to resource exhaustion and pollution overload. This theory has been critiqued, and there has been arguments that technological optimism will definitely overrule the limits and the growth will continue. Now, looking at the current status of the limits theory, there has been empirical validation to the theory by many writers, and there has been a debate on degrowth. The degrowthers, they argue that growth is a natural phenomenon that needs to develop in symbiosis with nature, but the body economic exploits nature ruthlessly and wishes to grow indefinitely. It is not a matter of growing to satisfy identified needs, but of growing for the sake of it. It is a race characterized by doing away with limits in three areas: the extraction of renewable and non-renewable resources, the production of new needs and superfluous goods, and the production of waste and pollution. Growth has become a veritable obsession with us, and we have to restore a sense of limits to ensure the survival of humanity and of the planet. To ensure that there is environmental sustainability, social well-being and fair distribution. Now coming to Odisha, we see that Odisha is a mineral-rich state and we do not have exact amount of how long these natural resources will remain with us and how long we can use them, how long we can exhaust them. And there is a possibility that even though the exact timeline for the exhaustion of mineral resources, natural resources cannot be identified, there are symptoms that they will be slowing and growth will be slowing. Because of deforestation, because of increasing vehicular traffic, because of challenges of erratic weather patterns, because of vulnerability to impacts of climate change, because of pursuing industry-led growth that puts stress on non-renewable resources and the environment, the rapid growth and development of Odisha has never been highly inclusive. There has been rampant urbanization, and all these have already shown that there has been a growth slowdown since 2010. The growth rate between 2000 and 2010 were higher than the growth rate that we are experiencing since 2010. Therefore, Odisha must be careful about the limits to growth without ignoring it. Coming to the Sustainable Development Goals, we know that India is a signatory to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It has been actively working towards the achievement of these goals and has taken a number of steps to integrate Sustainable Development Goals into its national policies and development strategies. It has also been actively participating in international reviews regarding progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. Niti Aayog has developed the Sustainable Development Goals India Index and a dashboard as a comprehensive tool to assess the progress made by the country and its states and union territories towards achieving the 17 SDGs and associated 119 targets. The index is based on various social, environmental and economic indicators related to each of the SDGs and the targets. Based on the index score, each Indian state and union territory is placed into a distinct performance category, and these are: if the index score is 100, the state is an achiever; if it is between 65 and 99, it is a front runner; if it is between 50 and 64, it is a performer, and if it is less than 50, then it is an aspirant. Now, on the ground of this, there has been 4 reports so far: 2018, 2019, 2020, 2023, and 24. Odisha's score has improved from 51 in 2018 to 58 in 2019, 61 in 2020, and 66 in the year 2023 and 24. So Odisha is in the front runner category as per the latest report on the SDG India Index. And Odisha has done exceedingly well in several of the goals. Take for example poverty. India has achieved a fast decline in multidimensional poverty head count ratio, and so also Odisha. Poverty head count ratio in Odisha has decreased from 29.34% in 2015-16 to 15.68% in 2019-21. And poverty declined by 13.65 percentage points, whereas the decline at the all India level is only close to 10%. So there has been a fast reduction of poverty at the state level. But even then, we see that poverty in Odisha remains largely concentrated in the tribal population concentrated districts of Gajapati, Kandhamal, Kendujhar, Koraput, Malkangiri, Mayurbhanj, Nabarangpur, Rayagada and Sundargarh. The poverty headcount ratio is the highest in Koraput, highest in Malkangiri 45% as against only 3.29% in Puri. Similarly, when we look at the Good Health and Well-being Index SDG 3, Odisha is doing well, better than the national level, but still then there is a great burden of disease, great burden of malnutrition and undernutrition. So far as zero hunger is concerned, according to the State Ranking Index for National Food Security Act 2022, the state ranks first in India for food security and is a widely accepted role model for the world due to realization of optimum benefits from creating a resilient food system and addressing pre-2000 hunger issues. Now, so far as quality education is concerned, Odisha is at a backseat. It has one of the highest dropout rates at the secondary level and has been placed in the 9th grade in the Performance Grading Index 2.0 and has a lower score in learning outcomes and quality. And Odisha is doing little better so far as affordable and clean energy SDG 7 is concerned, where Odisha has a score of 84 from 100. Now coming to the decent work and economic growth, we see that our growth is high, but so far as employment is concerned, there is imbalance and mismatch between sectoral contribution to gross state value added and to employment generation. For example, agriculture and allied activities contribute to 20.4% to gross state value added, but the employment share is as high as 48%. Industry contributes 43.3% to gross state value added, and its contribution to employment is only 25.8%. Services make a contribution of 36.3% to gross state value added, and its contribution to employment is only 26%. Not only that, the quality of employment in Odisha is also very low. Casual workers constitute 21.5% of the total workers. Regular and wage salaried workers constitute only 14.4%. Self-employed constitute the bulk 64%. So far as the quality of employment is concerned, we are not doing well. And coming to inequality case, we find that inequality is more in the urban areas compared to the rural areas. However, there has been a decline in inequality from 2022-23 to 23-24. And so far as consumption is concerned, the high growth is not reflected in higher consumption. Consumption expenditure in Odisha is roughly 88% of the consumption level at the national level. And so far as SDG 13 climate action is concerned, 6 years prior to establishment of the National Disaster Management Authority in 2005, the state of Odisha came with the Odisha State Disaster Management Authority. And we have the State Action Plan on Climate Change actively pursuing its implementation since 2009. We need affirmative action on education and health front. We are basically wrong in certain things. We have a kind of a wrong prioritizing. We emphasize freebies. We do not emphasize capacity. We emphasize populist schemes. We undermine and compromise building fundamentals of the economy. For example, we emphasize health insurance and we do not believe in strengthening public health care institutions, public service delivery, and we emphasize FRBM, rather overemphasize FRBM Act, and we compromise institutions. Even at the individual level, if you take the case of farmers, farmers always shout for increasing the minimum support price, and that is not similarly reflected in claim for irrigation. So that is there both at the government level and at the individual level. Odisha is, for Odisha, poverty and nutrition remain a persistent challenge. Food security and nutrition security has become a dual imperative. Climate change and nutrition security has become an interconnected challenge, and millets are a national and climate resilient solution. Odisha's millet mission is a model for success. Let us pledge to build a future where food security is synonymous with nutrition security, where sustainable practices safeguard our environment, and where Odisha leads the nation in resilience and progress. Together, we can shape a healthier, more secure, and sustainable future for generations to come. Thank you. Thank you very much for having given me a patient here.